Welcome to the Wednesday Word for November 15th, 2023. I'm Steve Onsman, pastor of Calvary United Church of Christ in Reading. We are an open, affirming congregation. We worship at 8 and 10:30. This Sunday, the wonderful Reverend Marion Shearer will be preaching for me. And the next Sunday, we have uh, Dr. Jennifer Kusid from Albright College coming at 9 o'clock for our monthly faith forum. Hope you'll join us for that. So today's question comes from Dave Ben. Second part of his question he sent me some time ago. Here's what he says. Paul's writing in Romans contains the Bible's clearest condemnation of same-sex relations. For an affirming church like Calvary, how can those teachings be justified? That's a really good question. Now, you're talking about Romans 1, and it's a very strange passage. I think the problem is most people don't actually read the entire thing. So I'm going to read it to you because it's important that you recognize he didn't just put out there, oh, being gay is bad, being lesbian is bad, all these things bad, bad, bad. Here's what he wrote. Ever since the creation of the world, God's eternal power and divine nature, invisible though they are, have been understood and seen through the things God has made. So they are without excuse. For though they knew God, they did not honor him as God. Sorry about the him, and gave thanks to God, but they became futile in their thinking, and their senseless minds were darkened. He's talking about uh, gay folks, same-sex relationships, um, claiming to be claiming to be wise. They became fools, and they exchanged the glory of the immortal God for images resembling a mortal human being or birds or four-footed animals or reptiles. Therefore, God gave them up in the lusts of their hearts to impurity, to the degrading of their bodies among themselves, because they exchanged the truth about God for a lie, and worshipped and served the creature rather than the Creator, who is blessed forever. Amen. For this reason, God gave them up to degrading passions. The women exchanged natural intercourse for unnatural. In the same way, also the men, giving up natural intercourse with women, who were consumed with passion for one another. Men committed shameless acts with men and received in their own persons the due penalty for their error. And since they did not see fit to acknowledge God, God gave them up to a debased mind and to things that should not be done. They were filled with every kind of wickedness, evil, covetousness, malice, full of envy, murder, strife, deceitful, craftiness. They are gossips, slanderers, God haters, insolent, haughty, boastful, inventors of evil, rebellious toward parents, foolish, faithless, heartless, ruthless. They know God's decree that those who practice such things deserve to die, yet they not only do them, but even applaud others who practice them. So, okay, so this is really important because you heard that whole laundry list of bad things, and they are bad things. I agree. Um, but here is the entire passage that is used to justify hatred of the LGBTQ community, which means that there's a couple of really important questions that are not clear here. First of all, what did Paul mean by God gave them up? It's mentioned a couple times in here, actually more than a couple times. Um, and I mean, does that mean that God took away something that was holding them back from not being straight? Like, um, that in every person there's this lack of control or control, something holding them in. We don't, that's what I mean. It's a confusing question. Um, did God make them become gay, turn them into wanting to have sex with the same sex? It's really unclear. Secondly, if you look at what he says, all people who are in same-sex relationships, see, and he didn't think of them as relationships, that's part of the problem, um, are idolaters. So they worship idols that are, he says, animals, four-footed animals, or reptiles, birds, or people. Um, so that's the third question is, um, for me, is while all these things that he lists at the end are really bad, and I agree with him that most of them are terrible. I have to tell you that every person who I know who is uh, gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, questioning whatever, wherever they are in that, in whatever group, they're not like this. I mean, I've got a bunch of incredible, faithful people in my congregation who are not straight. They are some of the kindest, most gentle, faithful people I know. So it's an odd thing to use a passage that says if you're gay, it means you practice idolatry, and then you're full of envy, murder, strife, etc. Um, Faithless, heartless, ruthless. These things don't describe the people I know, and these are folks who are lay folks, they're clergy. There are a lot of folks who are not in faith communities that, again, are as faithful as anybody else. So for a church like Calvary that is open and affirming and publicly so, and not ashamed to say this, we fully justify our welcome of the LGBTQ community and do not consider those who God made in God's image, who are not straight, to be sinful. We don't think it's an evil thing, and therefore they're welcome. What we do think, to go further, is that Jesus never said a word about anyone within these groups. Um, Never mentioned lesbians or bisexual people. Never mentioned trans folks. He only spoke of eunuchs, which I know some transgender folks I know will use that as sort of connection to themselves. Um, and these folks have always been with us, so it's really unlikely that Jesus never came in contact with them, which means I think that Jesus didn't care about that. What he cared about is that when we're in a relationship, that it's a committed relationship, that we hold to our vows. I think that's a good thing for all of us. So that's all I have for today. What do you think? Send me an email, onsman@comcast.net. Send me a message on Facebook. Give me a call. Give me a question to grapple with, and I will do a Wednesday word. Have a great day and stay safe out there.